Hi, and welcome back to KXAN Plus. I'm your host, Esmeralda Zamora, and I am here with our Chief Meteorologist, Nick Bannin, plus Tommy House for some White Christmas chat, right?
Yeah, we figured two meteorologists to talk about how little of a chance we have for a White Christmas here in Central Texas. But interestingly enough, we've not been as far off from having a White Christmas in Austin history as you might think.
I'll tell you, it's a lot closer than you would imagine, being 3-4 hours from the border of Mexico. But we've had some snow before in December.
Yeah, amazingly. And let's refresh ourselves about what a definition of a White Christmas is, because a lot of people will just think, oh, snow on Christmas or snow on the ground on Christmas. But no.
Starts before Christmas, right?
Well, yeah, you could have snow before Christmas to guarantee a White Christmas. So it doesn't have to snow on Christmas Day. All you have to have, this is easy for us to say, is an inch of snow on the ground Christmas morning, say around 7 o'clock or so in the morning. That's when the National Weather Service does their early morning measurements and observations and how much rain has fallen through the day, what the morning high and low have been through 7 in the morning. That's around the time you have to have that inch of snow on the ground. So it can snow an inch on Christmas Day. Later in the day doesn't technically count. You've got to have that inch of snow Christmas morning. And I think the idea is you love it when the kids wake up Christmas morning and then they come down and they see the presents and then they see the snow on the ground.
Yes.
So that's why it's so critical that you have the snow on the ground when you wake up Christmas morning.
Nick, have we ever had snow on the ground Christmas morning here in Central Texas?
Yes, but not enough.
Mm-hmm.
There's been 2 separate times we've been very close. Or as close as we're ever going to be here, perhaps. Back in 1939, we had a trace of snow falling from the sky, but none that really accumulated on the ground. But it was our only Christmas that reported falling snow on the day of Christmas, there December 25th in 1939. Now, 10 years earlier than that was what I would consider our whitest Christmas, the closest we've ever got to that 1 inch of snow on the ground Christmas morning. We had a trace of snow on the ground Christmas morning. That means less than 1/10 of an inch of snow. Now, the reason that we had a trace of snow on the ground the Christmas morning of 1929 is because we actually had 5.5 inches of snow that came about 4 days before Christmas. And it hadn't all melted by Christmas morning. So we still had some left on the ground. And if we look back at all of the snowfall records in Austin for the month of December, for Austin's Camp Mabry, and maybe we can take the banner down if it's possible. You can see that there's the 20th and 21st of December. That was that 5.5 inches there spread out over 2 days that came 4 days before Christmas Day. That's why there was still snow on the ground. But as we look around at some of the other dates there, and I'll bounce back a little bit, or my graphics are being a little slow today, you could see some of the other close calls that we've had. So not just before Christmas Day have we had these 2 rather sizable snow events, but also several days after Christmas on the 28th, we had an inch of snow. And then, while not as much, but on New Year's Eve, we've had 0.2 of an inch of snow. Interestingly enough, there's this little gap in the few days before and after Christmas where we haven't managed any sizable snow events, just a trace to on the 27th there of December, no snow actually reported at all. So, but there's hope because you can think about, all right, well, we have had some sizable snow events just before Christmas and just after. So you would think that with some time, I mean, a lot of passage of time, we may eventually see snow coinciding with Christmas, the date itself. But, the odds are not in our favor.
Not likely.
There's 2 big reasons why, right? It's the sun angle one. It's because we're positioned here in Texas. And then if we do get cold air, right, it lasts for maybe just a day or 2 at most. Our normal high is low 60s for Christmas itself. So even if we get blasted, get a few inches of snow, right, we run into this issue where can it last on the ground? And if it's 4 days out, as you pointed out, Nick, it's going to melt pretty quickly.
Yeah, and so often here too, while we can get some cold, we don't necessarily have the deep layer of cold that takes up all layers of the atmosphere,
Right.
from the clouds where the snow grows down to the ground. We'll have some warm intrusion that may melt that snow and then refreeze it, so we get ice or sleet or freezing rain here on the ground instead. And of course, that doesn't count as snow. Sleet does. It does go in the snow category, but freezing rain does not. So we need a lot to go right here in Central Texas for us to get snow at all, let alone on Christmas Day. So perhaps no surprise that we haven't had a white Christmas before. What is surprising is that we've actually been close on a couple of occasions. So
Very close.
It's not, something that we can rule out permanently.
Nick, is there any specific date that you remember where we were like super near hitting that required amount of snow on the ground for a white Christmas?
Yeah, so you can look here on the days before Christmas where we've had on the 20th of December an inch, 4.5 inches on the 21st of December. So there was enough snow there that we could have had a white Christmas. But then you get toward December 25th, and we just haven't been close at that point because we've only had a trace of snow on the ground on those days. So, I'd say if you look at it, we've been within 4 days of having a white Christmas from a snowstorm arrival to Christmas Day itself. And on the other end, with an inch of snow falling 3 days after Christmas there on the 28th in Austin, we've been technically 3 days away from a white Christmas that year.
It's not even just the cold air that you need, right? It's the setup. December is very dry. I mean, meteorological winter here in Austin, we don't get much rain as is. We've had, besides yesterday's rain, a few hundredths of an inch. So you need a very slow-moving system, big dip in the jet stream. Coastal lows typically don't bring enough, a lot of moisture there. So, it is pretty rare itself. And the fact we've had pretty much every single day, at least a trace or more for a record for that date in Austin is still pretty cool to see.
But I would bet that most people here in Central Texas, if they had a trace of snow on Christmas, even just to see it falling, it counts. You know what I
And they
mean?
make the little tiny snowman, no matter how much snow falls. There's a way to make a snowman.
Hey, open up your ice maker.
I was about to
See
say
what
that.
you
Yeah.
can come up with.
Send us those pictures. Get creative.
We had a dish soap. I just went to a place that we had Christmas celebrations. They had the dish soap and water. And I was like, this kind of looks... I sent a photo to the weather team. I'm like, does this count for our winter outlook? This is sort of wintry, but yeah.
Kind of.
Interestingly, measurable hail counts in the snow category too. So we could get a hailstorm. And
Let's hope not.
it would be considered a white Christmas if you had enough.
That would be insane.
Instead of coal, Santa's bringing us hail.
I know.
Only
That's not the way we want to go and do it.
No. Well, what about big picture, looking at the entire map? Who is going to see a white Christmas this year?
Yeah, Tommy, we can look at areas that typically see snow from a historical perspective based on history. What areas stand out to you?
Yeah, big things are the mountains. You head out toward the Sierra Nevadas, the atmospheric rivers way up in the Pacific Northwest for at least this year. Rockies, of course, they start getting flakes August into September. And then the Northern Plains. Some of the biggest snowfall totals up there, we're talking Chicago, we're talking Detroit, Green Bay. They get these little clippers, these dry air, quick-hitting low-pressure systems. They bring some snow. And sometimes the Northeast, although, Nick, you would agree that lake effect snow is probably the biggest winner now. The lakes eventually freeze over, but it's kind of hard for that I-95 corridor to get blasted.
Yeah, what you need are almost those areas that are persistently cold, even if they're not going to have snow on the day of Christmas. A lot of these places that it's exceedingly likely to have a white Christmas, it's not necessarily super likely to be snowing on the day, but they probably already had an inch of snow on the ground by now anyway. And then it just doesn't melt most of the winter with very cold temperatures, especially at those high elevations in the northern tier states. So they've got a couple of factors. A, they get snow way more frequently. And then B, it stays cold so much longer that the snow that they had stays on the ground Christmas morning, even if it doesn't snow Christmas morning.
Yeah, you have ENSO, right? El Nino, La Nina, but you also have that weak polar jet stream. Is it taking a few big swings, or is it staying a little more zonal, which means that cold air is trapped up to the north? But again, it makes sense, right? Northern Plains, their normal highs probably below freezing, or at least close to that. So, yeah, way up toward Minnesota, near 100%.
Yeah, and Tommy, you did some digging on what the weather's been like for our recent Christmases.
Yeah, so this is pulled out of Austin. Last year, 100th of an inch of rain, not a lot. And at that point, we had a pretty similar bad drought 2023. In fact, 2022 was the coldest at 24 degrees and the warmest in the past 5 years, 2021. I don't want to spoil it, Nick, but it looks like this year we could be pretty close to that 2021.
Yeah, and maybe people like that 2022 Christmas morning because it was cold in the 20s.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't had any 20s and not expected to anytime soon, at least in Austin. Well, while you looked back at the more recent Christmases, here are the average weather numbers here for Christmas Day in Austin at Camp Mabry. Our average high, 62. Our average low is 42. The wettest Christmas we've ever had was in the year 2000, got about 1.5 inches of rain.
Ugh.
We have had 90 before in Christmas. In fact, that's the, I think it's the latest 90-degree day ever in Austin area history happened on Christmas Day. We got that 90 there in 1955.
For a second there, I thought this Christmas Day was going to be in the 90s, and so we got that cold front.
Warm, but it's
going
to be up there. And then the coldest high and low on Christmas Day happened the same year. There in 1983, we had a low of 10 and a high of just 25. So
Wow.
It can happen.
it can happen. It can get cold enough.
But it
Snow.
won't happen
Question
this
is-
year, right?
Yeah, it does not look like it. Tommy, you were looking into the weather pattern that not only for this Christmas, but really the last couple of weeks of December.
Yeah, so if you watched our winter weather special, you've heard about the polar jet stream. It's essentially transporting some of that cold Canadian and Arctic air down to the lower 48. We think collectively as a team and meteorologists across the country have high confidence. We'll see some warmer than normal temps for so much of the country. That cold air is trapped up to the north. If you take the graphic full, you can see up toward New England, northern plains, way up in Montana, Washington. That's where some of that cold air is just going to hang around for a bit. And that causes warmer than normal and some drier weather, Nick, across places. Texas, is going to stay in the same pattern for quite some time.
Yeah, and you mentioned how December is not really usually that wet of a month here in Central Texas, despite being, I think, our wettest winter month.
I mean,
Because
we saw some rain today.
Yeah, we have had some rain, although it's not going to amount to even being an average December, we don't think, for rainfall. But the outlook for the last week of the month that includes Christmas on the 25th and also includes New Year's Eve there on December 31st is exceedingly likely that we would be warmer than normal. And really for much of the country looking this way as well.
Yeah, dark red is higher confidence, and that is the highest confidence for northern Texas, the Red River Valley. And, for us, that means warmer than 62, which at Christmas Day, that's the normal high. So probably, could be upper 60s and 70s.
Yeah, not a bad first outlook and bet there. From a rainfall perspective, not that we normally get much rain the last week of December anyway, but we are looking near normal for rain there as the drier than normal weather shifts off to the east and the wetter than normal starts to take over the western third of the U.S. May get some showers well to the south of us, increasing their likelihood of a little bit of rain from the 25th through the 31st. But if this comes to fruition with very little rain in our forecast over the next week, and then for the final week of December, it seems like a sure bet that Austin's going to be experiencing yet another drier than normal month here to wrap up 2025.
Interesting. So no snow this Christmas Day, just drier temperatures.
Seems exceedingly likely drier conditions, warmer temperatures, no snow. Mm-hmm. We'll have to put the numbers and the odds and our hope aside for next year instead of this year.
And what about towards the end of winter? Any hopes for some snow in January, February?
Well, February is the only month of the year that we actually average snow in Austin, but it's not much. It's 0.2 of an inch of snow. And it really only snows every 3-4 years or so here in Central Texas anyway, and at least in Austin. So still a little too early to narrow things down. But despite the fact that February is usually our driest month of the year, it is also, technically speaking, our snowiest. Because especially the first half of the month, we can get some deep Arctic plunges of air that can pick up on some moisture at the same time and provide little batches of wintry weather, as we've seen a few times over the last few years, but too early to get specific about snow in January or February just yet. But Esme, that brings me to my next thing.
What's your next thing?
Our next first warning will be the January forecast.
Finally, I want to know what's happening in January.
It's probably the same thing as we don't want to spoil it for
warmer
you.
and
but-
Probably dry, warm, boring.
That's the other guess, but we'll have that for you next time.
Well, I'm sure we will also touch base on some of the temperatures and the snow that happens in February later on here on Nick's First
course.
Warning. But we do have an article that you published about Christmas in Austin on snow in Austin on Christmas Day. What else do you have in this article that we didn't get to talk about?
Yeah, so Tommy and I were thinking a Christmas theme the same time. I dug out some statistics on snow in Christmas, and then Tommy's article, which we'll also link to, focused more about this coming Christmas and the pattern so far. And you can see no snow in Christmas is the general takeaway here. And the reasons why, as well as a look back at some of our more recent Christmases. So those are under the weather and traffic tab at the top there, and then just click on weather blog. Tommy's is more recent. Mine is a few stories down from that.
And all of
Great
this
minds think alike.
is on our website, KXAN.com, under weather blogs as well, so if anyone wants to read that. But we do have a brand new update to our KXAN weather app. Tell me
Yes.
about that.
Yeah, so new update is fantastic. It's got a fresh new look, more Austin themed. We've tried and put a lot of the things that you know and love and kept them the same with a refreshed look. We've also made some tweaks to the radar section to make it a little easier to understand the difference between past radar and future radar. In fact, there's going to be another update that comes out probably within the next week to make that even clearer and also allow you to loop the past radar more easily. That new update to our originally updated weather app should come out here in the next week or so. But there's a lot to like there. Easier access to weather video, access to allergy information. Tommy's got it up for you there. And then, Tommy, you can also pick which weather alerts you want.
Yeah, I'm just reading this through weather conditions. You can pick 24-hour, our clouds and radar, which is our brand, temperature, road weather, wind speed, 24-hour snowfall, which we probably won't use, or none. If you just want to stare at a map, you can also overlay your temp plots, earthquakes, lightning, tropical track, storm track, and have alerts. Get this: tropical air quality, visibility, temp, avalanche, wind, thunderstorm, winter precip, rain, flood, coastal, and miscellaneous.
So many choices.
Many choices.
And there's under that map section, you can customize your own maps too and make up your own maps.
Yeah, it's just me right now.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm looking at myself. I'm looking a little red. I don't know if it's the lighting or.
So anyway, hopefully you can hit the update button. And remember, there's going to be another update that comes out over the next week, so look for that too.
It's great.
That next update's going to improve the color of our low temperatures that for some people has said it's a little difficult to see, and we've heard you, and we're making that change here. So continuing to make improvements.
We also have a fun video on our website of Nick walking us through the weather app, the brand new weather app.
It's
That's
great.
there for you too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we laugh.
well,
Cool.
thank you both for joining me here for another Nick's First Warning episode, and we will see you next time here on KXAN Plus.
Thanks for having me. And Tommy, thanks for joining
Nick,
us.
thanks
Yeah.
for having me.
And for everyone at home, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Christmas.